Right now on News 3, a Madison nurse is now officially charged. We have the exclusive video from inside the courtroom.
And safety remains top of mind following a shooting near La Follette High School yesterday. The district continuing its push to keep officers inside schools.
This is News 3 at 6.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. Breaking today, the nurse at the center of a patient abuse scandal appeared in court for the first time.
Christopher Capham faces 19 counts of felony abuse and intentional harm of patients. Only News 3's Keely Arthur was in court today, and she joins us to share the details. Keely.
Well, very disturbing details in this 26-page-long criminal complaint, shedding light into the abuse at Meritor. Here is a breakdown of the last 7 months and a glimpse of the man authorities say is to blame.
Do you have any comments? Are there more children involved? What about the families of the victims?
Let's rewind back to February 13th now, when we first reported that Madison Police Department's Special Victims Unit was investigating several unexplained injuries inside Meritor's newborn intensive care unit. A federal investigation this spring into Meritor found injuries in multiple babies and showed the hospital didn't do enough to protect patients and prevent abuse.
I am prepared.
More than 7 months later, Kaplan standing in front of a judge today for the first time, facing 19 felony charges of patient and child abuse and neglect. Court documents show 9 babies were harmed, sustaining bruising, broken bones, and a skull fracture. 2 babies had IVs so improperly placed it was, quote, consistent with medical neglect. A statement from another nurse describes how Capham would often close the door while caring for patients. The hospital at the center of all this, writing to News 3 today, quote, we recently learned that the legal process is moving forward regarding our newborn intensive care unit. We have supported the legal process throughout this investigation. There is no doubt that as an organization, we all remain devastated by what happened.
You're representing Christopher Capham. Do you have any comment on your
I
client?
have no comments.
Capham's defense attorney, Jonas Bednarik, remained nearly as silent as his client today.
To say publicly?
I'm asking you to back off and get your microphone out of my face, please.
The criminal complaint also offering no explanation as to a motive.
And he'll need to complete the booking process.
Capham is out on signature bond and ordered to stay away from the 9 alleged victims, their families, and Madison Hospital. His next court appearance is October 15th.
Now, more than 40 infants were examined as a part of this investigation. The criminal complaint talks about how some parents of patients did feel uneasy, with one saying they didn't feel safe leaving their baby alone in Capham's care.
All right, Keely Arthur reporting today. Keely, thank you very much.
Let's turn it over to weather now. A crisp afternoon, really feeling like fall out there today. And there is also a chance for our first frost in the coming days. Let's check in with meteorologist Dana Fulton. She's in the Weather Center with our first alert forecast. Hi, Dana.
Hey, so we do have the chance to see some patchy frost as we move into the weekend. At least now for the next few hours, we're safe for tonight. You don't need to rush out and bring the plants inside just yet. But you'll just definitely want to think about that for Saturday morning. Looking at our Doppler radar right now, we haven't had a huge rain event move overhead, but a little bit of shower activity just in the last 3 hours. Right now, the showers really shifting towards the east, but we still have a few little isolated spots for us. And that's kind of how the next few hours will look. Just some isolated showers. Our next major opportunity for some rain won't come until we get closer to about 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Cloudy outside, a few pockets of sun mixed in there, but this afternoon the clouds really built on in. And they're going to stay with us overnight as well. Temps are in the 60s, close to 64 in Madison and Mineral Point, about 66 in Janesville right now, with that nice sky out there. Again, a mix of clouds and sun, not crystal clear, but at least it's not raining right now downtown. Temperature-wise, that high 66 for us today, pretty close to seasonal and mild outside. Tomorrow, much cooler. This rain associated with a cold front. And that's going to drop our temperatures quite a bit for tomorrow. And as Charlotte mentioned, the potential for frost as we head towards Saturday. But we'll take a closer look at that full 7-day forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Dana, thank you. Dane County Executive Joe Parisi says 2019 county budget will include the single largest increase in frontline mental health resources in county history, a $320,000 expansion of the Emergency Mobile Mental Crisis Program, which was created 2 years ago.
This expansion will allow for 24/7 health crisis response.
Parisi says next year's budget will also include additional funding to help combat the opioid epidemic. Through August of this year, there were more than 200 heroin overdoses in the city of Madison, compared to a total of 142 for all of 2017. Just a day after a shooting near La Follette High School, school safety remains top of mind.
This comes as school board members are making recommendations about the program involving police officers in schools known as EROs. They unanimously recommended this week to keep those officers in Madison schools. News 3's Rose Schmidt explains.
Right after a shooting near La Follette High School, we spoke with parents who were scared and confused, but called to action.
This is starting to happen too much, so.
La Follette students were greeted with metal detector wands as they walked into school Thursday morning. Neighbors in the area told us students often fight off campus, but there are questions about who is keeping tabs on them.
Shootings happen in the community at an alarmingly high rate. ERO officers can't go to all of them.
Dean Loomis chairs the committee examining the role of police officers, or EROs, in schools. They spent more than a year trying to decide whether to keep those officers in Madison high schools, including La Follette.
We heard very loudly and clearly and thoughtfully from strong community advocates that claimed that the presence of officers in school impacted their children, and all of them made it very clear they were all students of color.
The committee is defining the role of Madison police in schools.
EROs are not there to police behavior.
Making a total of 15 recommendations for officers in the program.
Teachers can't call them in to their classroom to control an unruly student. That's not proper. We have support staff to do that.
Dean says in a perfect world, officers wouldn't be needed in schools at all. And in the long run, they'd like to stop students before they reach the prison pipeline.
That's a real thing. And we want to stop that. We'll deal with behavior. A little fight happens, we'll deal with that.
The president of La Follette's Booster Club declined my request for an on-camera interview, but she says she would like to see more EROs in the school. The shooting yesterday is still under investigation, but Madison police say they are making progress. No arrests have been made.
Rose Schmidt reporting tonight. Rose, thank you.
Still to come at 6 tonight, your updated forecast, including a preview of the weekend.
Plus, bringing in the goats, what they're doing on this Rock County construction site when we come back. Welcome back. A new energy complex being built in Rock County is almost halfway done.
But to get to the right workers to finish the project, the people in charge had to go to a place they've never gone before. Industry's Adam Duxter explains why these workers are so special.
When it's complete, the West Riverside Energy Center will bring power to about 550,000 homes. Today, we took an inside look at some of the workers that are making this project possible.
At the West Riverside Energy Center, there's no shortage of people getting things done.
We have about 700 people on the job site right now.
It's estimated that these workers have spent over 1 million hours soldering, lifting, moving, and putting together the $700 million project. And for a project of this magnitude, help comes from far and wide.
A lot of them are right from this area, as well as travelers from northern Illinois, northern Wisconsin, sometimes even as far away as Georgia and Florida.
But the people in charge eventually realized that some jobs at this site couldn't be done by a welder, a steel worker, or even the most senior foreman. That's why they brought in the goats.
Somehow I got the idea in my head. I started doing some research. I thought, hey, this might be a great idea.
These Spanish goats work full-time to eat the 4 types of invasive plant species that grow on the southeast portion of the project site. The goats aren't actually from Spain, however. They're from Monroe and work for a service called the Green Goats. Environmental Control Officer Dan Maricol says he found out about the service after trying to brainstorm eco-friendly ways to get rid of the weeds.
I looked at 4 ways to get rid of invasive species, and it was probably the most beneficial to our project, and I took it to Alliant, and there were a couple of snickers at first.
But Maricol says the snickers stopped when members of the company saw what the goats could do. Now he credits them as being the hardest workers on his team.
They are not on a schedule out there. The goats are not on schedule. They are on go time. So I went from an 8-hour day job to a 24-hour day job.
And while those on 2 legs labor to finish the inside of the Energy Center, the workers on 4 have the outside covered.
The 315-acre campus will be complete in early 2020. The goats working here until then. In the town of Beloit, Adam Duxter, WISC News 3.
It's America's national pastime that just about every kid tries at some point, but a local organization is making it possible for everyone to run the bases and chase their dreams on the diamond. The Cardinals, Brewers, the Rockies, and the A's are 4 of the teams that make up the Challenger League. It's a baseball program for children with special needs.
The smiles that we see, every game, every at-bat, every ball that's hit into the field is phenomenal.
Tonight, in a special Do Something Good story, we'll share how this program is making some children's dreams come true on a field right here on Madison's west side. Speaking of baseball, tonight in sports, the Brewers are heading to the playoffs for the first time in 7 years.
Plus, the big news in Titletown. Aaron Rodgers does something today he hasn't done in a few weeks. What it means ahead of this weekend's game of the Bills in sports.
And we have had just a few showers in the last few hours, but the good news, we're starting to cool down and dry up just a little bit. We'll take a closer look at your full forecast right after the break.
All right, welcome back. We will soon be heading into the last week of our Coats for Kids campaign. So far, nearly 2,500 coats have been collected. Anything donated, whether it be coats, gloves, hats, or scarves, will be cleaned, I should say, free of charge. You don't have to worry about that, and given then to kids and adults in our area who need a little extra help staying warm this winter.
Meteorologist Dana Fulton joins us now, and we're not really thinking winter.
No.
But it will be coming.
Correct. We're not marching down that road just yet, but it's about to be chilly even this weekend. We're looking at our first potential widespread frost. We'll get to that in just a second. Right now, looking back at the last 3 hours, we have had a little bit of rain, some light rain move on over. Didn't pick up any lightning or thunderstorms, just some rainfall for us moving over our Doppler track. Right now, pretty mellow for us in downtown Madison. A few clouds in the sky, but the rain seems to be shifting off to the east. We do have a few little isolated rain spots, not ruling out the chance to see some isolated showers overnight, but our major rain chance for this evening has passed on over. It's been a little breezy today. Our peak wind gust about 26 miles per hour in Madison, closer to 31 in Monroe. Right now, our sustained wind about 5 to 10 miles per hour. Some areas getting just a little more, but it's still coming from the south. Some warmer air moving on in, and we're going to have a little shift as this cold front really passes on overhead. Our front right now just off to the northwest. It's going to continue to swing on through. Behind the front, we'll cool down quite a bit for tomorrow and again for Saturday morning as we look again at that first potential frost for the season for us. Overall tonight, looking for a cloudy sky with isolated shower chances. Heading into tomorrow morning, we are going to start off with some rain coming on through. We may see a few thunderstorms mixed on in that early on in the day for Friday. Those showers continue to move east, the clouds pulling east as well. And by Friday evening, we'll have a little more sunshine in the forecast. We may see an isolated shower for us later on in the evening on Friday, but that's a pretty slim chance. Most of that rain chance for us on Friday is early in the morning, close to about 6-7 o'clock. By Friday evening, mostly clear and cool. We'll be starting off Saturday in the 30s, 34 in Madison, looking at about 35 in Janesville around 7 o'clock. So just 30 minutes after sunrise, we're still chilly outside. Black River Falls may be getting into the upper 20s by Saturday morning. Throughout the day on Saturday, clouds will increase later on, and then another opportunity for rain will come in late Saturday and for our Sunday. Because of that frost threat, we do have an alert day for Saturday morning. So overnight Friday and into Saturday, it's going to be very cool outside. The light freeze certainly possible up to the north, and that patchy frost likely throughout much of central and southern Wisconsin. So make sure you bring anything inside that's sensitive, little dogs and pets, of course. And if you're planning on doing anything outdoors Saturday morning, you definitely want to make sure you bundle up just a little bit. When we're in the 40s, things stay pretty warm on the ground for us. But that drop, of course, the frost certainly likely on the grass. And then once we head a little deeper into winter and the ground's pretty frozen, temperatures can even get into the mid to upper 30s, and we can still deal with some frost outside. Our earliest frost, September 12th in 1955. So we didn't get quite there yet. Our average first frost, though, October 11th. So we are just a little early. Right now, downtown, again, not seeing any rain currently. Just some clouds, a little bit of sun poking on through. 66 our high for the day. Overnight lows early on in the upper 40s. We're at 64, so already dropping just a little bit. We're going to stay fairly cool for the next few days. Again, that cool air shifting in behind our cold front. Overnight lows will be near the mid 40s again. That chance for showers is going to come in early tomorrow morning. 57 our high for tomorrow. We'll be a little breezy yet again with those showers coming through early on. That alert day on Saturday is for early on in the morning, not an all-day event. Again, no severe potential, just the concern for some frost. And our showers that'll move in late Saturday, impacting our Sunday forecast. Also expecting to see showers on Monday. We'll warm up a little bit to start off next week before we cool back down to the 50s as we head into next weekend.
Why are Packer players applauding at practice today? Well, because Aaron Rodgers did something he hasn't done in a few weeks. Stories coming up in sports.
The woman accusing Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh speaks publicly for the first time. Her testimony, let's hear from Kavanaugh tonight on Fox 47.
News
Packers play the Buffalo Bills at Lambeau Field Sunday at noon here on Channel 3. A couple of big things happened at practice today in Green Bay. Cornerback Kevin King practiced for the first time in a week and a half, so perhaps he could play Sunday. But what had the other players applauding on Nitschke Field? Well, Aaron Rodgers practiced too. Now, Rodgers had only practiced on the Saturday before the game, taking care of his ailing left knee. But practicing for the first time on Thursday in a while can only be a good sign, suggesting that the left knee is feeling better. So as Rodgers pushes toward a more normal regimen, are there potential consequences?
Pain is a consequence. But yeah, when the adrenaline's going, whether it's a calf or a knee or a shoulder, you can forget about it in the moment, but sometimes you forget about it too much, and then it comes up and grabs you when you're running and thinking you're fine. But that's part of dealing with an injury, and hopefully at some point this season that goes away.
It's a good thing the Brewers don't have a game today because they probably celebrated it well into the morning hours after clinching a playoff spot in St. Louis last night. Jeremy Jeffress got the final out on that 2-1 win that assured the Brewers of their first playoff appearance since 2011 and only the fifth in their 49-year history in Milwaukee. One of the great moments in last night's locker room celebration was 83-year-old radio broadcaster Bob Uecker getting doused with Miller Lite. Now that the Brewers are in, they want to make the most of it.
It's unbelievable. It really is. It's so hard to do this. Winning a Major League Baseball game is so tough, and for us to be able to do it that many times and put ourselves in position to be in the postseason is really special, and we've got an awesome opportunity ahead of us, so we've given ourselves a chance. So now it's about going out and taking advantage of that opportunity.
A game with Brewers playoff implications today. The Colorado Rockies beat the Philadelphia Phillies 5-3. That keeps the Rockies in first place in the National League West and the Dodgers in the second National League wild card. So as it stands right now, the Dodgers would come to Milwaukee for the wild card game next Tuesday, where there are still 3 games left over the weekend. The Prep Mania High School football game of the week. Tomorrow night, Janesville, Craig at Middleton. We're live with the game on TVW and live streaming on channel3000.com tomorrow night at 7. The Badger football team is looking forward to a pretty relaxing weekend. It's the bye week, and if you ask the players or coaches if the bye week comes at a good time, they're always going to say yes. It's time for players who are nicked up to recover, and of course, there's the all-important mental break. I asked Coach Paul Chryst today, does that mean the Badgers are going to be sitting on their couch this weekend watching college football on TV and eating Cheetos?
They got to fuel up their tank. They got to make sure they come back with some energy, and I know some will go home, and that's important for them to get home and kind of just reconnect. They put a lot out there. This is the halfway point as far as if you count camp. And so they've got to take advantage of this time to re-energize, whether it's through the Cheetos or watching games or maybe not watching any football, and just getting away from it.
Where do you stand, Puffs or Crunchy?
Crunchy,
I'm
hands
crunchy.
down.
Crunchy.
Ooh,
I'm Puffs.
Nice.
Puffs?
Paul Chryst, what do you think Paul Chryst was?
Puffs. Puffs.
He's Puffs.
You guys can keep
It's old
the
school.
puffs.
It's old school.
More for us then.
That's fair.
That's right. Yeah.
Chilly night of high school football tomorrow night, probably, huh?
Definitely very cool outside. Make sure you layer on up with your favorite team's hoodie because it's going to be cool. We're looking at temperatures dropping Friday night into Saturday morning into the 30s for us. That slight shower chance is really in the morning and early afternoon. Not a shower chance for us overnight. That alert day for Saturday due to the frost potential for us.
All right, thanks for joining us.
We'll see you back here at 10.
Download the new Channel 3000 app and get alerted on your mobile device the minute news breaks. Wherever you go, be the first to know with Channel 3000.